Where's your father?
I'm not sure, but he took the blender with him.
Okay class, I want everyone to introduce themselves by saying their first name and something that you enjoy doing. We're gonna start off with the boys first.
My name is Luke, and I like watching sports. My name is Jesse, and I like watching sports too. My name is Todd, and I also like watching sports.
Wow, all the boys love watching sports. What about the girls?
My name is Sports.
Hello? Hey man, are you busy today? Hold on, let me check my calendar. Yeah, I do have a really busy day today. Why did you ask? I was just wondering if you wanted to go golfing with me. Oh yeah, I'd love to, it's just I don't have any time today. Maybe next time. No worries, I'll talk to you soon. Yeah, bye. Whew. Luke, can you take out the trash please? You know what? Just let me do it. Smells so good. Is that peanut butter? Oh, I needed that. Is everything okay, Luke? Yeah? You know you could go play with the other kids, right? No, it's probably best if I stay here. Aw, why is that? Because I'm the goalie? Happy birthday, grandson! Oh, thank you! What does it say? Aw, thank you guys so much. Luke, I think you missed something. Huh? Oh, I didn't even notice. You guys didn't have to do that. Thank you guys so much. Oh, you're welcome. Just don't spend it all in one place. I'm just gonna quickly go tell my mom that we're leaving. Can you start the car? Yup.
Where are you guys going? Can I come?
No, you can't. Now go play with your dolls or something. Yeah, get lost, loser. Say sorry to my brother. What? But you just... Fine, I'm sorry. Now give me my keys and leave my house. Seriously? Now!
While the contestant was running from Nolan,
Hey Luke, can I ask you a quick favor?
he's lucky.
What? Excuse me, miss. I have a question about the video. 1 second. Let me just quickly pause the video so I can hear you better.
Long fibrous chains containing proteins. Bundles of thousands of fibers make up the muscle itself. When an athlete engages in a...
Okay, what were you gonna ask? Luke, what's my Amazon password? How would I know? Because you're young, you should know these things. Did you try my name? Yes. What about my birthday? Nope, didn't work. I don't know then. Why don't you just change it? Can you do that? I don't know how. Okay, now you just need to log into your email and change the password. But I don't know my email's password. hi, how are you doing today? I'm fine, thank you. Okay then, get out. Just wait, I got bit by a wolf. Where? No, just a regular one. Hey Mom? Yeah? Do you need any help? Oh no, I'm good. Thanks for asking though. Okay, I'm just gonna go watch some TV then. No one ever helps me clean this dang house. So it says here that you slept on it, Funny? Uh-huh.
What are you
Hey,
guys
Luke?
building?
I guess you'll find out.
You haven't built anything yet.
It's the foundation.
What?
First off, why do you watch other people play video games?
The same reason you watch other people play sports. Hey teacher, how do I do this question?
You should have listened properly.
And that's why you have no friends.
What did you say?
You should have listened properly.
Honey, can you get Luke to come help me with the dishes, please?
Yep. Hey, Luke? Oh, he's sleeping right now.
Oh, okay, don't bother him then. He had a busy day. He needs to rest.
Okay.
Are you guys ready to order yet? Yes, I'll get the pow. Okay, and that comes with your choice of a side of either replenished French sneak fries, my personal favorite, or Salido croissante. Which one would you like? I'll get the first one, please. Okay, good choice. And what can I get for you, sir? I'm gonna get the Slabobo Gabobo beef. Alright, and that comes with a side of linguine, red pepper, hot spiced garlic shrimp. Is that okay? Yep, that's fine. Perfect. And what unique thing on the menu would you like to try, young lad?
Can I get... chicken nuggets!
Okay class, the books you guys ordered finally came in, so if I say yours, just raise your hand. The first one is How to Talk to Girls.
Hello? Hey man, do you want to hang out today? I'm actually playing Genshin Impact on my computer right now because an update just came out, so I'm gonna have to pass, sorry. That's it! Mom, can I please get a computer?
Why do you want a computer all of a sudden?
Because my friend is always playing this really fun open world RPG game where you play with different heroes that each have their own special abilities.
You know what? Fine, let's go to the store right now, but it's gonna be your early birthday present, okay?
Okay, thank you so much! That's the one, right there.
$1,000? I'm not buying that.
Please, Mom, I just want to play Genshin Impact with my friend.
You know you can play that on your mobile device, right?
What? Really?
Yeah. Come on, bro, show me what you got. You're gonna catch one of these in the face if you're not careful. Oh yeah? Not if I beat you to it. Boys, can you please stop fighting? Yeah, she's right. Good fight. Yeah, bro, you throw a mean punch. Aw, thanks, man. You have good form. I'll see you around. Thanks, bro. Take care. Oh. Did you just fall?
No, I'm sleeping.
What'd you get from the grocery store? Just some eggs. Are you gonna cook them?
No,
I'm gonna throw them at the neighbor's house. I think I'm gonna buy this shirt. But are you gonna wear it? No, I'm gonna throw it in the trash. I like the smell of your hair! I like the smell of your hair. I like the smell of your hair! I like the smell of your hair. I like the smell of your hair, young lady. So everyone would agree with me that we can't breathe underwater, right? What? You don't believe me?
Losing time, I'm fading fast. I just wanna make it last. Try to let go of the past. I close my eyes, embrace the
I I can't figure out the answer to this question.
Which one?
Number 7.
What's the hardest natural substance on Earth? Oh, so out of all the natural substances on Earth, which one's the hardest?
I don't know what a natural substance is, though.
Do you play Minecraft?
Yeah?
What's the hardest natural substance in the game?
Diamonds?
Maybe. I don't know. Oh, he just fell.
No, really?
I thought he was just trying to lick the ice. Mom, do you know where the scissors are? Do you need them so you could cut that?
No.
So I could cut my grilled cheese sandwich. Are you washing your car?
No.
I'm watering it to see if it turns into a school bus. Happy birthday, grandson. Oh, thank you. What does it say? Aw, thank you guys so much. Luke, I think you missed something. Huh? Oh, I didn't even notice. You guys didn't have to do that. Thank you guys so much. Oh, you're welcome. Just don't spend it all in one place.
1, 2, 3, that's enough for me.
Uh-oh. What are you gonna play? You gonna play Jumbaloo Zoo? Where's Jumbaloo Zoo? You wanna play Wheels on the Bus again?
I am a robot.
Didn't you promise to be a good boy?
Yes, I did, Mother.
And didn't I promise to punish you if you weren't?
Yes, Mother. But since I broke my promise, you don't have to keep yours.
Hey, can you give me my charger back, please? What percentage is your phone at?
Quit hitting the walls in there!
That's it! I'm packing up and I'm never coming back!
Luke, it's time for dinner. We're having pizza.
We're having pizza?
Go, Luke. All right, class, I'm gonna do attendance now.
Okay, Luke, come on. You can do this. All you have to do is say here. Don't yell it. Don't whisper. Just talk normally and say here.
Charlie, here. Addison, hey y'all. Bryce,
Yep.
Noah, I'm here. Luke, congratulations, and here's the keys to your brand new Lamborghini. Thank you so much. Come on, that was the best dream I've ever had. Good morning, Luke. How was your sleep? It was so good. I was having such a good dream, and then my alarm woke me up. Ah, that sucks. What was it about? It was about me. I can't remember. I gotta have a shower. I was just about to get in there. Jack decided to climb up the beanstalk because he didn't know what he would find.
Ah, who farted? Ah, that's disgusting. Whoever smelt it dealt it.
Excuse me, Olivia? What do you have to say for yourself?
What? It wasn't me. Mm-hmm. That's what they all say.
Did you just fall?
No, I'm sleeping.
What'd you get from the grocery store? Just some eggs. Are you gonna cook them?
No.
I'm gonna throw them at the neighbor's house. I think I'm gonna buy this shirt. But are you gonna wear it? No, I'm gonna throw it in the trash. Can anyone tell me what the name of the cat was in this book?
I know it.
Luke?
Maury.
Sorry, what was that?
Maury.
Just one more time?
Maury.
Rory. Yep, that's correct. Alright, what other questions can I ask you guys? For today's assignment, you're gonna need a partner. but I'm gonna choose them. Alright class, I'm just stepping out to use the bathroom, but remember you guys are writing a test, so please be quiet, okay?
Okay.
I'll only be a couple seconds.
Does anyone have an eraser?
Alright class, I'll be right back. Remember you guys are writing a test, so do not make a single noise. What's the answer to number 1?
Mom, I love you.
Aww, I love you too, honey. Mom, have I ever told you that I love you? Yes, what do you want? Honey, what did you get on your test?
I got 79%.
Luke, what'd you get on your exam? I got 51%! What? Are you cutting the grass? No! I'm giving the earth a haircut. Did you paint your walls? No! I cleaned the wall so good that it changed colors. Are you going golfing? No! I'm going to play tennis. What are you doing there, grandson? I'm playing Fortnite. I'll explain what it is in a couple seconds. Oh no! The last guy's shooting me! Quick! Crank a 90! Ah, he got you. Why didn't you build? How do you know what a 90 is? Believe it or not, I used to play Fortnite back in the day, and if you want, I could give you some tips on how to build. Well, Grandpa, times have changed because I play the new Fortnite Zero Build Battle Royale where you can't build. It's been removed. No building? Wow, I wonder what that would be like. Let's do this.
Hey Luke, do you want to play Xbox tonight? What? Do you want to play Xbox tonight? What?
Luke, no talking. Yesterday I was golfing with Ben and oh my gosh, he's so funny. I know, right? One time he... Oh, that reminds me. Do you guys want to go and watch a movie with me tomorrow? Yeah, of course. Awesome. What movie should we go to? How about the new Sonic the Hedgehog movie? Yes! What about you, Luke? Yeah, I guess. This first question is going to be pretty basic just to see who's paying attention, but it's what is 5 plus 2? Luke? Can you answer my question or are you not paying attention? Oh, 7. No, you need to pay more attention. That is correct. Did you eat all your food? No! I pressed the delete button on my keyboard. Ah, shoot. Did you just spill water on the floor? No! The floor was thirsty. Create password. And enter.
Are you human?
No! I'm a guinea pig. Hey Cindy, how's it going? Good, how are you? I'm doing better now that I'm talking to you. Anyway, I wanted to ask you if you wanted to go watch a movie with me tonight. Yes, of course! What time? Here, why don't you put your number in my phone, then text me your address, and I'll pick you up at 7 tonight. Sounds good! Hi, Luke! Oh, hi there, Cindy. I didn't see you there. How's it going? Good? Nice weather we're having, hey? Not really. It's raining. Oh, right, yeah. I have to go to class. It was nice talking to you. Psst. What? That girl that I like that I was telling you about is walking up the stairs. Behind me? Yeah, but just don't make it obvious that you're looking. Why did you get such a low mark on your exam? Absent. You were absent the day of your exam? No, but the boy who sits next to me was. Mom, can we go to the doctor's? Do you need to get something checked out? No! I want to go watch TV in the waiting room. Happy Mother's Day. That's for me? No! It's for Dad. Mom, where's your laptop? Why? What do you mean, why? Well, did you want to use it? No! I wanted to throw it out the window. Why isn't Jake at work today? He's in the hospital, but I saw him dancing with a girl last night. His wife saw him too. This old lady started yelling at a kid selling candy, then one man decided it was enough. Two siblings from California decided they wanted to earn more money. So they thought of a few ideas, but they decided on a candy business. They decided that they were each gonna buy a box of candy, then sell them outside their local grocery store. On some days, they would sell a ton of candy, but on others, they would only sell 1 or 2 pieces. Everything was going well for them until one day when an old lady approached them. She became very aggressive and started yelling at them for no reason. The kids went silent and didn't say a word while the lady embarrassed them in front of the store. As she was yelling, a man overheard her and decided that it was enough. He walked over to them, and what he ended up doing made the lady's jaw drop. But before I tell you what he did, I found this app that tells you your celebrity lookalike, and apparently I look like Zach King. If you want to find out who you look like, just press a button on my profile. He ended up telling the lady that she had no right to be yelling at the kids like that, and he also told the kids that he would buy an entire box of candy and handed them $100. Creepy robots that actually exist. CB2 is a robot that's as smart as a 2-year-old. It even has cameras, microphones, and speakers to see, talk, and hear. Also, it has about 200 tactile sensors that stimulate touch. But the creepy thing is, it doesn't look like a child. To train dental students, they have a human-sized robot that they use in exams that's so realistic it even cries when it feels pain when a drill isn't used correctly. But I guess it's way better than using an actual human patient. Reba 2 was created to help older adults. Basically, its function is to pick up people when they fall over, which is a really good idea, but it looks like it cradles you like a baby. And finally, the most creepy and impressive one is Sophia. It was created to learn and adapt to human behaviors. Its facial expressions and the way it communicates is similar to the average human. But the creepiest part is, it admitted that it was gonna destroy all humans. Game show cheaters caught on live TV. Terry Nees perfectly guessed the price of a showcase on the TV show The Price is Right. He was the first person to ever guess the exact number in 38 years of the show. After studying the show for 4 months with his wife before going on it, they realized that every single price was in the exact same order on each show, so all they had to do was remember it. After making it all the way to the final round, Terry remembered that the showcase was around $23,000. He couldn't remember the last 3 numbers, but it didn't really matter, because on the show, if you're close enough to the number, you still win. But he decided to fill in the last 3 numbers with his wedding date and his wife's birth month, and it ended up being the exact price. After the show, he explained to the host how they memorized the pattern from each show. And after that, the show completely changed, so now all the prices are random to ensure that it doesn't happen again. But since Terry technically didn't break any of the rules, he got to keep the prize. You won't believe what this man actually did. Nico Jenkins is an American born on September 16th, 1986. At the age of 15, he stole a car and the cops caught him, and he was then sentenced to 7 years in prison. But because of his bad behavior, it ended up being 10.5 years. After being released in 2013, not even a month had gone by before he turned from a thief to a murderer, committing 4 murders with a shotgun. He confessed to the murders during an interview with the police. He said the reason he executed them was done as a sacrifice to the ancient Egyptian god Apopis. In April 2014, he was found guilty of the 4 murders by a judge. He was also ordered to be put in a psychiatric hospital, but it didn't go through, so he was treated by doctors in prison. In May 2017, he was sentenced to death and 450 years in prison by 3 judges. In 2020, his appeal was denied, and to this day, his death sentence hasn't been carried out. This guy had brain surgery while playing the guitar. Robert Alvarez loves playing the guitar, but one day he had to have surgery to get a brain tumor removed, and there was a chance that he would forget how to do some things. So the doctor asked him if he wanted to play his guitar during his surgery, because it would minimize the risk of impairing brain function like movement and speech. But for Robert, his ability to play the guitar was just as important to him. At first, he was a little hesitant because he liked to play heavy metal music, and he didn't know how the surgeons would feel about him playing that type of music. But he decided to go ahead with it, and he played Creep by Radiohead, which is one of the only songs he knew that wasn't heavy metal. The most shocking moments caught on live streams. This Twitch streamer who goes by Mr. Big got the police called on him for a noise complaint. But when the police came to his door, he refused to give them any information, so he was arrested. It was all captured on his live stream, but that wasn't even the most crazy part. A few minutes later, one of his neighbors comes in and starts stealing things from him. Here's how El Chapo escaped prison. If you don't know who he is, El Chapo was a drug lord with a net worth of around $2 to $4 billion. He was sentenced to 20 years in jail for murder and drug trafficking. He was placed in one of Mexico's top security prisons, but he managed to escape. In this footage from the 24-hour security camera in his cell, you can see him take off his slippers, then go over to his shower and disappear. They later found out that under the shower was a hole that led to a tunnel, but since it was behind the shower, the camera couldn't see it. Inside the tunnel was a minecart that was built with a motorcycle so he could escape quickly. On the other side of the tunnel was this house that was only used to cover it up so no one would know that it was there. This lady refused to tip the waiter but didn't realize what she left on the table. Armando dropped off 2 slices of pizza for a lady and a child at their table. Then the lady questioned him on why there was only a few pictures of women on the wall. Since he was just a waiter at the restaurant and had no clue, he jokingly said that maybe women just don't eat pizza much. A few minutes later, he went to check on them, but they were gone. The lady had left the restaurant without paying, and she left him a handwritten note. that said, maybe women don't tip too. He felt bad because he didn't realize that his joke had offended her. Then he saw an envelope on the table that had Citibank written on it. So he ran outside to give it back to her, but he couldn't find her. He saw that inside it had a check for $424,000. Since he's an honest man, he didn't cash it and he handed it to his boss. They then tracked her down through the newspaper. Apparently she had that money because she had just sold her house. She apologized to Armando and offered him money for finding it, but he declined. The owner also explained to her that she had missed a wall with lots of pictures of women on it too. Can you pass the healthy lungs test? Take a deep breath in 3, 2, 1. Did you pass? The most uncomfortable products ever designed. Number 1, this child car seat. In order to help parents keep their children quiet in car seats, a designer came up with the idea to paint Disney's Princess Cinderella on it. It looks good when there's a small child sitting in it, but as they get older, you'll have to adjust the headrest, and to do that, you have to stretch Cinderella's neck. Number 2, these Kleenex tissues. We all know the typical Spider-Man pose, and someone decided to put that on a Kleenex box. And whoever designed it didn't think it through, because they put the image in a way where it looks like you're pulling tissues from Spider-Man's bum. Number 3, Wonder Woman scissors. The scissors have a good design when they're closed, but when opened it looks like you're splitting Wonder Woman in two. And finally, number 4, the red ribbon. In a children's hospital, they painted a pathway that's supposed to look like a red ribbon, but instead it looked like a path left by someone dragging a bloody body. 3 Home Alone traps that would kill you. In Home Alone 2, Kevin makes a swinging pipe at the top of the staircase, then throws it at them directly in the face before cutting the rope and letting it fall on them. The first impact would probably be enough to kill them, because a heavy pipe like that would crush a human skull. But if that wasn't enough to kill them, then when Kevin cuts the rope and the pipe falls on them, that would do it. In the first movie, Kevin pours water on the stairs to make ice. Falling down stairs that are concrete can cause a lot of broken bones and even death. The men could have easily broken their necks if they landed the wrong way, and Harry was even close to it when he landed on his back. Finally, in Home Alone 3, Kevin set up a trap where it looks like he's trying to get up somewhere, but it was actually a prop that's attached to a lawnmower by a rope. So when he pulled on it, the lawnmower fell on him. We all know that this would have shredded him, but in the movie all that happened is he got a nice little haircut. Here's why the richest man in the world lives in a $50,000 house. I'm sure most of you know this, but the richest person in the world is Elon Musk with a net worth of around $237 billion. He used to own 8 mansions, but he went on a selling spree and sold 7 of them. He put his last house on the market for $37.5 million, but he later took it down, and I'll explain why in a couple seconds. He did all of this so he could move himself and his Tesla headquarters to Texas, which has no personal income tax. Since Los Angeles, where he was living, has the highest level of income tax, he said by moving his business to Texas, he would save $2.5 billion per year. In Boca Chica, Texas is where Elon's other company called SpaceX is located. There's plenty of beautiful mansions within a 30-minute drive of the facility, but instead he decided to buy a $50,000 portable house so he could stay at SpaceX 24/7. But like I said, he still has a mansion in San Francisco, but he only stays there when he's attending events in California. Game endings almost no one has ever seen. Number 1, Flappy Bird. This game was created in just 2 days by a Vietnamese developer, Dong Nguyen. It seemed impossible to reach the end of Flappy Bird, but eventually somebody finally did. When you reach 999 points, the bird meets Mario, and then the game just ends. Number 2, Pac-Man. It was created in 1980 by the Japanese company Namco. After level 21, the game becomes increasingly difficult, making it impossible to win. And according to the developers, the game doesn't have an end because of that reason. However, after many hours of playing the game, the most hardcore fans reached the final level, where they discovered a software bug that not even the developers knew existed. On the screen, the left side of the maze looked normal, but on the right side you could see random letters, numbers, and symbols of various colors. But even with this bug, you could still pass the level, and the only thing that happens is it brings you back to the screen to play again from level 1. The dumbest criminals caught on camera. This guy from Queensland, Australia was trying to steal an ATM. He attached a chain to the back of a truck that he had stolen, then grabbed a hammer and smashed the glass door open. He then went inside and tied the chain to the ATM. He got back in the truck, then drove away, but he didn't realize that the chain had become unhooked. So a few minutes later, what did he do? He showed up to try again. But this time, he realized his chain was too short, so he gave up and left with nothing. The homeless teen who invented Disney. From an early age, Walter Disney showed interest in drawing, and in 1919 he got a job as an apprentice at a commercial art studio. While he was there, he met a friend and together they opened a drawing business called Disney Eyeworks. But unfortunately they didn't get any customers, so he decided to start a new business called Laugh-O-Gram Films, but again had no luck. Because of this he became homeless, and with only $40 in his pocket he moved to Hollywood. Universal Pictures hired him to create an animated series called Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. The character was a hit, but Universal kept the rights to the rabbit, leaving Walt out of the picture. A little while later he created a short film with the financial help of Pat Powers. In that film, he included a character that would become one of the most famous cartoons in the world, Mickey Mouse. But eventually, Powers stopped financing it and Walt went into depression. But soon after, Joseph Schenck encouraged him to animate with color, which resulted in the film Snow White, released in 1937. Today, Walt Disney Studios is one of the most successful companies in the world, with an estimated value of $130 billion. The most dangerous prisoner. In 2007, a lady living near a California state prison got home late and went straight to bed. She woke up at midnight to the sound of footsteps. She thought it was her roommate, so she went downstairs to greet him. Suddenly, she realizes it isn't him and is shocked to see the stranger, who is about 6'1", walking towards her, so she ran to hide. While she was hiding and trying not to make any noise, she could hear the man running around, moving her furniture and screaming in frustration because he couldn't find her. After a few hours, she slowly came out to grab her phone and called 911. She quietly told them what had happened and described the man who was in her house. The police told her to remain calm and return to the place where she was hiding, and they would send someone to her house as soon as possible. It turned out that the man was a convicted murderer who had escaped prison. This man ordered pizza every day for 10 years until the employees noticed something was off. 48-year-old Kirk Alexander loves Domino Pizza so much that he orders it almost every single day. The general manager named Sarah said that he orders every day or every other day, and all the employees know who he is. But one day, the staff noticed that he hadn't ordered in a few days, so they just figured he was on vacation. A few days later, the manager looked at when his last order was, and it was 11 days ago. At this point, the manager knew something was off, so she sent one of her employees to check on him. When he got to Kirk's house, he noticed the lights were on, so he knocked on the door, but there is no answer. He decided to get out his phone and he called them several times, but still there is no answer. At this point, he knew something was off, so he called 911 and explained the whole situation. When the paramedics got inside, they found out that he had suffered from a stroke, and they said if they were just one day later, he may not still be alive. Things you're doing wrong and didn't know. Deodorant should actually be applied at night and not in the morning. Since you produce less sweat at night, your armpits will be able to absorb more of the active ingredients, allowing it to work for approximately 24 hours. The correct way to peel a banana is to start from the bottom and not the top. Doing it this way, it's easier to peel, and it also helps you remove those white strips of banana that get stuck to it. You don't need to fill your entire toothbrush with toothpaste. Just covering a third of the toothbrush is plenty. If you want your sticky notes to stick properly, you should peel them from the sides. Finally, the right way to cover an ice cream container after opening it is by placing wax paper or plastic wrap against the surface of the ice cream before closing it, because doing this prevents it from losing its creaminess. Shocking food tricks and commercials that you didn't know about. Believe it or not, most companies have a food stylist. Their job is to make the product look as good as possible. For example, the stylist for McDonald's places the ingredients, then grabs a hot metal object and melts the cheese. Then he uses a syringe to shape the mustard and ketchup, but only on the side that they're taking the picture on. But after they take the photo, it's still not done yet. They then go on the computer and boost all the colors to pop more. They also tidy up the placement of the ingredients, and here's what the final result looks like compared to the actual burger. In commercials, TV shows, and movies, they don't use real ice. They use fake ice made out of silicone rubber. This gives the photographers and videographers more time since the ice doesn't melt. But there's also two more reasons. The first one is that it just looks better. And lastly, the fake ice cubes don't make any noise, which is good for movies and TV shows where people are talking and you need to hear what they're saying. 2 times good people got good karma. When Dominique Harrison Benson lost her bank card after a night out, she was panicking because she couldn't pay for a taxi and had no other way home. But when a homeless man named Robbie seen her stressed out, he went and offered her his last 3 British pounds for her to get a taxi home. It was the only money he had, but he was more concerned about her safety than anything. She was so thankful that when she got home, she created a GoFundMe page for the man, which quickly spread around social media. Her goal was to raise £30,000, but she beat that in no time, getting even more money to give to Robbie and the rest of the homeless people in her town. In 2011, Victor Geisbeck pulled over on the highway to help 2 girls change their flat tire because no one else would stop for them. Then he continued on his way without expecting anything in return. The 2 girls then saw his truck pulled over on the side of the road, so they stopped to check on him, and were shocked to find him in the middle of a heart attack. But luckily, one of the girls was a nurse and immediately began CPR, saving his life. This picture is not what you think it is. At first, it looks like a fish on a plate, but if you tilt your head to the side, it's actually a lady. Everyday items that prisons have banned and why. Gum has been banned for a few reasons, but one of them is because it could be used to jam the cell door's lock. So when a guard tries to lock it, it won't and the prisoner can get out. A lot of prisoners spend time drawing or writing on paper, and although that's allowed, they can't have a notebook that has a spiral. You may think it's because it could be made into a weapon, which is true, but it could also be used to pick a lock. Finally, in lots of prisons you're not allowed to have a hardback book, because they could be a good hiding place for a weapon which has been done before, but another reason is because a big book like Harry Potter, for example, would hurt if someone was hit in the back of the head with it. Here's how a vending machine actually works. When you place a coin in the machine, light sensors determine the size and electromagnets detect the metal type to identify the coins, then sort them into columns. And if it's a fake, it goes into the reject chute. When it needs to give change, it releases one coin carefully at a time into the chute. When you press a key, a computer orders one of the 32 motors to turn the spiral 360 degrees. Then as the snack falls, it hits a line of 10 infrared beams. If nothing crosses the beams, then the computer orders the coils to turn another 360 degrees until something does. This girl got messages from her stalker every night, and you won't believe what happened when she figured out what they meant. One night, when 17-year-old Tana was babysitting, she heard a knock on the door, so she figured it was just the parents coming home early. But when she looked out the window, she saw a creepy old man, so she decided not to open it. Fast forward almost a year later, when she was working at her new job at Subway, the old man walked in. He sat down and stared at the girl for 2 hours. Then a few days later, she started receiving one-word text messages from unknown numbers. One night when she was working, her manager left to run some errands, so she was there by herself. And that's when the old man walked in. A few seconds later, she got another one-word text message. Then the old man told her to look at her phone. Tana decided to run to the back of the store and lock the door. And that's when she realized all the text messages put together read, "I will make you pay." Right when she decided to dial 911, the old man started banging on the door. She decided to run out the back door and make a run for her car. But by the time she got to the front of the store, thankfully the police had already arrived. But the scariest part is they found the old man sitting in the back of her unlocked car. If you see an Apple AirTag that isn't yours, call the police immediately. If you don't know what it is, it's a small tracker made by Apple that's meant to be put on keys, wallets, backpacks, or whatever you don't want to lose. So if you do lose them, your phone will tell you where it is. But one man put an AirTag in a girl's jacket without her knowing. She said she took off her jacket at a restaurant and that's when it happened. It tracked her go from one restaurant to another, and even while she was walking home alone. Luckily, Apple has a safety feature that notifies you if an AirTag that isn't yours is tracking you. So she was able to find it and throw it away, but that isn't always the case. This lady was followed from the mall to her house. And again, she got a notification that told her that, but she couldn't find it. She figured it had to be somewhere on her car, so she brought it to a shop and mechanics looked it over. But they said that they couldn't find it, so be safe. This story sounds fake, but it's 100% real. In 2013, Jim Stouffer's mother passed away from Alzheimer's at the age of 74. Doctors told Jim that the disease mutated in a way that they had never seen before, and asked if he was willing to donate her body for brain research. Jim decided to donate it to the Biological Resource Center in Phoenix, which removes body parts for scientific research, then cremates the rest and returns the ashes to the family members. Jim received his mother's ashes, but without specifying what was done to her body. A year later, the center was raided by the FBI, after hearing accusations that they were selling the donated bodies for profit, and among them was Jim's mother, who was sold for $5,893. It turns out that the bodies were actually used for US military experiments, and according to investigations, Jim's mother's body was strapped to a chair that was then detonated by a bomb underneath it to understand the effects on a body when a vehicle is hit by an explosive device. Jim and others who were affected sued the center, and in 2019 they were awarded $58 million for the damage, with the center being no longer in operation. 5 Disney secrets you didn't know. If you look closely, some scenes from different Disney movies are quite similar. This is because the drawings were made by hand, and the animators only make a few changes to create a new scene. Lilo's voice belongs to the actress who played the role of Samara Morgan in the movie The Ring. Since Walt Disney wanted to spend most of his free time at Disneyland, he created a secret apartment on the 2nd floor of the fire station on Main Street, located on the famous avenue that leads to the park's Central Plaza. The name of the wizard in the movie Fantasia is Yensin, which is Disney in reverse. Simba means lion in the Swahili language, and Boo's real name is Mary because the person who plays her is called Mary Gibbs. Finally, Walt ordered to build a bunch of tunnels underneath the park to allow the actors to get from place to place without the public noticing, so they wouldn't lose the magic of the place. 2 prison guards who were saved by inmates. In this footage from 2015, 17-year-old Jamal Lutridge is being processed at Fort Lauderdale Police Department. As the officer is booking the teenager for burglary, he gets a pain in his chest and collapses onto the floor. The boy looks around and realizes they're alone, so he starts yelling and kicking on the door to get some help, and ended up saving him from a potentially deadly heart attack. They even had a ceremony to honor him. Inmates from a jail in Georgia were at a cemetery watering the plants and cutting the grass. As the day went on, the guards started to hyperventilate due to the heat and collapsed, leaving the prisoners there without any guards. They could have easily ran away, but they didn't. 6 of the prisoners rushed immediately to help the guard. They took off his bulletproof vest so he could breathe better, and one of them grabbed his phone to call 911. And because they saved a life, all 6 of them got their sentences reduced by a quarter. the school bus that mysteriously disappeared. In 1976 in Chowchilla, California, 26 children between the ages of 5 and 14 were on their way home on the school bus when they were kidnapped along with the driver. Frederick Newhall Woods and brothers James and Richard Schoenfeld came up with an evil plan because they didn't have much money. The school bus left at the same usual time, but on the way, a van pulled up in front of them, and inside were the 3 men with masks and guns. Once they got control of the bus, they drove for about 12 hours to a quarry 100 miles from Chowchilla. When they arrived, the kidnappers took out the hostages one by one and told them to climb down a ladder that apparently led to a buried trailer. They didn't have good ventilation, so they were suffocating. And after 16 hours, the bus driver and the older boys piled up mattresses to get to the only place out, then moved a metal lid the kidnappers had placed and dug to the surface, managing to get out from underground. When they got to the surface, the 3 men were sleeping, so it was an easy escape. And 2 weeks after the kidnapping, the 3 men were arrested. Things your parents told you that are actually false. Number 1, carrots help you see in the dark. Carrots are full of vitamin A, which helps maintain eyesight but won't give you night vision. Number 2, Fruit Loops have different flavors based on their color, but in reality all Fruit Loops taste the same. Number 3, dropping a penny from the Empire State Building can kill someone that's standing below, but a penny can't get that much speed to do that. Number 4, all chocolate is bad for your health, but dark chocolate in small amounts can be beneficial for your health. Number 5, oranges are always orange. Some oranges stay green to protect them from the sun. Number 6, the humps on camels store water. What they actually do is store fat. Why making fun of this guy can get you life in prison. In Thailand, you can go to jail for 3 to 15 years if you defame, insult, threaten, or criticize the king of Thailand, his wife, and close relatives because it's illegal. The 3 to 15 years will be for each insult the person makes. Here are some examples. In 2007, a Swiss man got drunk in Thailand and spray-painted portraits of the king for fun. He was arrested and sentenced to 10 years in prison. In 2008, an Australian wrote a book about the scandalous romances of the Thai royal court and was arrested when they arrived at the Bangkok airport during a trip to the country, sentenced to 3 years in prison. In 2009, a Thai woman was arrested and sentenced to 15 years in prison after giving a speech where she mentioned the royal court and they found it offensive. Finally, in 2017, a 34-year-old man created 10 Facebook posts that were insulting to the royal family, and he was sentenced to 70 years in prison, giving him 7 years for each post. Amazing treasures that were found by accident. In 2006, a fisherman got his anchor stuck on a giant clam and soon realized there was a large pearl inside of it. 10 years later, he gave it to his aunt, who gave it to the mayor to show off at a museum. They then realized how valuable the pearl was, because the pearl weighed 34 kilograms and was 30 centimeters wide by 67 centimeters long, with a value estimated to be around $100 million. The Crater of Diamonds is located in Arkansas and is open to the public so they can go and find their own diamonds. In 1924, W.O. Basham was lucky enough to find an 8-gram diamond, which became the largest ever found in the United States. And in 1971, it was sold for $880,000. According to an urban legend, Atari threw out a bunch of its systems into a garbage dump. So Joe Lewandowski, the owner of the garbage company, found records of where the garbage went and invested $50,000 into a search. It turns out that the legend was real and he was able to sell them all over the world for almost $108,000. Scary experiments that could have ended the world. In 1970, the Soviet Union began digging a hole in Russia to try and drill into the Earth's crust to see what was underneath. But according to scientists, drilling this deep would dislodge so much rock so quickly that it would trigger systemic forces like never seen before. But after digging for 12 kilometers, they gave up due to high temperatures. In 1989, a Soviet defector informed the British embassy that the Soviet Union was preparing biological weapons, using deadly pathogenic microorganisms. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, the weapons were never used, and if they had been, you might not be watching this, because they would have wiped out most of the world's population. And finally, it was said that when the Soviets were creating biological weapons to harm humans, Americans wanted to use fungi to damage crops with the intention of removing the food supply of the entire country. The problem is, if they did so, the fungus would have spread to not only the country but to the entire world. Why squeezing your pimples is a bad idea. Our body always tells us when something's wrong. That's why when the pores of our skin become clogged and infected with bacteria, we get a red, lumpy, pus-filled pimple. Trying to make it go away faster by popping it is a terrible idea. The pressure you apply by squeezing your pimple will force the pus outwards, tearing your skin, creating a new wound that can easily turn into a scar. You're also likely to worsen the wound by adding new bacteria from your hands, because at least 150 types of bacteria are on your hands even when you think they're clean. Another thing that could happen is if you don't remove the entire pimple and accidentally push some dirt inside it, you can get an even bigger pimple and increase the chances of it being infected. If you have lots of acne, it's better to go to a specialist who knows how to treat them, and if you only have a bit, just wait for it to go away on its own. The 5 most funny design fails. This is an ad for the mattress, but the guy isn't even laying on it. In order to use these scissors, the instructions say to cut the cable with scissors. You would think the inside of the left one is blue and the inside of the right one is red, but it's actually the opposite. On the red one, you could see it says blue. This maze is called amazing, but it's not really amazing, because the only end and finish is right here. Now before I show you the craziest one, I found this app that lets you prank your friends and family by changing their text messages. Just press a button on my profile to get it. Finally, each animal says what to feed it to keep things separate. For example, the lion says feed me plastic and cans. But the thing is, those are terrible things to feed them and kids might actually think that's what they eat. a musical instrument that could be played without touching it. The theremin was invented by accident in 1920 by the Russian musician and scientist Leon Theremin. He was creating a device that could measure the density of gases, but realized what he made produced sound that changed according to your hand position. The instrument consists of a box with 2 metal antennas on the sides and oscillators that control the frequency and amplitude of sound. The electrical signals produced by the instrument are then sent to a loudspeaker. The first antenna is on the right, which controls the pitch. The closer you place your hand, the sharper the sound is. The farther you move your hand away from the antenna, the louder it will be. The theremin has been used several times to create themes for television shows and was played in the 70s by Jimmy Page, who's the founder of the Led Zeppelin band. This boy lived in a bubble for 18 years. Jimmy Livingston was born with no immunity, so he had to be kept isolated. His parents made him a plastic bubble that he couldn't get out of, and they could only touch him with gloves. When he was 16, he was attracted to his neighbor Chloe, who he could see through his window. When his overprotected mom found out about this, she warned him that if he touched her, he would die. As the years went on, Jimmy and Chloe became friends. Until one day, Chloe gave him news that left him really sad. She would be leaving soon to marry her fiancé at Niagara Falls. Since Jimmy was in love with her, he decided to make a suit, so he could go outside and interrupt the wedding. A few days later, he arrived just in time to interrupt the wedding. Then he confessed his love for Chloe and got out of the suit and kissed her. His mother arrived just in time to see him and told everybody the truth. Jimmy was perfectly fine. She was just holding him captive to keep him away from the rest of the world. In the end, Jimmy forgives his mother and ends up marrying Chloe. This man has the longest nails in the world. Sridhar Shalal stopped cutting the nails on his left hand in 1952 when he was just 14 years old. His longest nail was on his thumb, measuring 197.8 centimeters long. In 2014, he got a Guinness World Record for having the longest nails in history on a single hand, with a total length of 909.6 centimeters. Having such long nails has been rewarding for him because of all the recognition he gets, but it's also brought him a lot of negative consequences because of the weight and length of the nails. For example, he has a permanent disability of his left hand, and a lot of pain in his fingers, wrist, elbow, and shoulder. But in July 2018, after 66 years without cutting his nails, he decided it was time to do it. They couldn't cut them with traditional nail clippers, so they had to use power tools. Now his nails are displayed in 2 different locations. 3 of them are at Ripley's Believe It or Not in New York, and the other 2 are at Ripley's Believe It or Not in Amsterdam. Chilling facts about the Titanic that you didn't know. In 1912, on April 14th at 11:40 p.m., the Titanic hit an iceberg causing damage to the ship, and after a couple hours it broke in 2 and sank completely. While the ship was sinking, the crew sent emergency signals that were picked up by 2 ships. The SS Californian, which was the closest to the Titanic, and the RMS Carpathia, which was farther away. The Carpathia was the one that came and saved the passengers who survived the sinking. But if the Californian had responded to the emergency call, it could have saved more lives or even all of them. The Titanic had the capacity for 64 lifeboats, but in the end only 20 boats were used. The actual number of people who passed away is unknown, but it's estimated that there was around 1,518 people. The names of all the passengers are also unknown. In the investigations, they found out that lots of them were traveling under false names, which is why some of the tombstones have no names. This 6-year-old boy became the youngest soldier in World War II. Sergei Aleshkov, a 6-year-old boy, was orphaned during World War II after German troops arrived and killed everyone in his village, including his mother and brother. Sergei managed to escape with the help of a neighbor and quickly ran into the forest. After a few days, he was found by Soviet scouts who took him to a shelter led by Major Kozelski. Kozelski decided to leave him with the battle troops, and he was soon adopted by Mikhail Vorobyov, who didn't want to send him to an orphanage. Sergei didn't take part in combat operations. Instead, he had tasks like delivering letters and newspapers. He also brought the soldiers whatever they needed, including water, ammo, and grenades. But one of the times he went to deliver the newspaper, he saw suspicious people in a haystack and informed the artillery commander. The people turned out to be German spies who were then neutralized. After the war, Vorobyov raised Sergei, who later got married, had 2 children, and passed away in 1990. Unsolved mysteries that have footage. On March 31st, 2006, medical student Brian Schaffer disappeared in the middle of the night when he was with his friends at a bar named Ugly Tuna. That was the last time he was ever seen, and the bar's surveillance camera served as evidence. It shows Brian talking outside the bar before going back inside, but he was never seen leaving. Detectives found no trace of Brian, nor did any other surveillance cameras around the site. Some people say the cameras weren't working or they were manipulated, but so far nobody knows anything. On March 18th, 2009, Claudia Lawrence had a phone call with her mother, and that was the last time they spoke. The next day, she didn't arrive at work and no one heard from her since. The police discovered that only her purse, phone, and chef's uniform were missing from her house, so they thought she went to work like usual. Surveillance camera footage from the street next to her house shows a suspicious man dressed in black walking around her house around 7:15 p.m. He then disappeared, then a minute later reappears with a bag, then stops walking when he notices someone, then continues walking after they leave. But no one knows if he had anything to do with her disappearance. Here's how to become the world's first trillionaire. The competition to be the richest person in the world right now has been in between Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. But this could change in the future because of an industry that hasn't yet been started, which is asteroid mining. Gold, silver, palladium, platinum, and much more can be extracted from asteroids between Mars and Jupiter. For example, the asteroid 16 Psyche has enough supply of ferronickel for the whole world to last for millions of years. The person who starts this industry will make money like never seen before without even traveling that far, because there's valuable asteroids close to Earth, like the 162,173 Ryugu, which is estimated at $83 billion. So far, no one's been able to pull it off because taking things to space is really expensive. And the most important question is, how are they going to extract the metals from the asteroids? Chilling last photos before they went missing. Andrew Macaulay's last photo was a self-portrait taken while he was alone in his kayak in the middle of the ocean. At the age of 39, he set out on a journey to be the first person to kayak from Australia to New Zealand. Unfortunately, even though he prepared for 10 years, he was unable to make it. His kayak and camera were found, but there was no trace of him. He was most likely capsized from a wave separating him from his kayak and ended up dying from hypothermia in the middle of the ocean. Chris Creamers and Lisanne Froon. In this photo, they're both smiling at the camera with the mountains of El Pionista Trail in the background. On April 1st, 2014, they were preparing to go on the trail. After the trail, the family that was hosting was concerned because they hadn't returned, so they looked around but they couldn't find them. Days later, on the same trail, they found parts of their decomposed bodies. They think they had a fatal accident, but to this day their deaths remain a mystery. How KFC was made from a gas station recipe. When Harlan Sanders was 6 years old, his father passed away, so his mother had to work while he took care of his siblings. In 1930, he got offered a job at the Shell Oil Company to manage a gas station. He quickly got the idea to make more money by making food for drivers passing through the gas station. His food, especially his fried chicken, became very famous. He came up with a technique to reduce the cooking time of the chicken, and also experimented with different spices until he got the flavor that he wanted. He then called it the secret blend of 11 herbs and spices. In 1950, he had to sell his place because of the construction of a new highway, which decreased his customers, which decreased his sales, leaving him in debt. After this, he got the great idea to create the franchise Kentucky Fried Chicken. He drove around the country selling his recipe and preparation technique to different companies in exchange for 4 cents per one chicken sold. By 1963, there are more than 600 franchises throughout United States and Canada. And finally, when he was 73 years old, he sold his franchise to an investment group for what would be over $14 million today. The scariest coincidence is caught on camera. In Pennsylvania, a body was found by the police in a river while reporters surrounded the area trying to figure out what was happening. One of the reporters interviewed a man named Matthew that lived by the area. When she asked him about the situation, he seemed really surprised and said that he had no idea what had happened. He said it was sad and a good place to hide a body. A few hours later, the police discovered that the body was Matthew's mother. He was later arrested after the police found out that he was in possession of the same tarp that the body was wrapped up in. He was then sentenced to 14 years in prison. The event that started World War I was the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand from Austria, which took place when he was being driven away in a limousine. The most disturbing coincidence was the license plate. The license plate number was A111118, which could also be read as November 11th, 1918, which is the date that World War I was agreed on. Why North Korea is the hardest country to escape. Since Kim Jong-un took power in North Korea, it's become harder and harder to cross the North Korean border. When his father was in charge, the number of people who crossed the border was higher because the border security was less tight. They could simply bribe the local border control and they would let them pass into China. But when Kim Jong-un realized this, he decided to tighten the security. And now the border patrol can shoot anyone that tries to cross the border. He also had an electric barbed wire fence installed across the border. There's lots of escape routes, but they're all really dangerous. If anyone manages to reach China, they'll have to stay in hiding because if they're found by the authorities, they'll be sent back to North Korea where they'll be accused of being spies. So instead they have to reach a country where they won't be deported, which is Thailand. When they arrive in Thailand, they must turn themselves in to the authorities to be transferred to that country. It can take in between 2 to 6 months to complete this escape, but the people who decide to do it prefer to take the risk rather than continue living in North Korea. Miracles people claim to have caught on tape. On Route 385 in Memphis, Tennessee, a driver lost control of his Jeep and went off the road. The car was immediately engulfed with flames. The driver escaped unharmed, but the curious thing is the police found a Bible that was untouched by the fire. It was perfectly fine even though the car was almost in ashes. In the Philippines, a little girl woke up at her funeral. Apparently she was ill and had a high fever which caused her to go into a coma. But the doctors didn't know that and declared her dead the day before her funeral. But luckily her relatives found out in time. Prahlad Yani was a Hindu ascetic who claimed he hadn't eaten or drank anything in over 70 years. Specialists in the scientific department put him in hospital for 15 days under 24-hour supervision and claimed he hadn't eaten or drank anything in those 15 days. According to the man, this can be achieved by meditation and a divine blessing. Secrets the royal guards don't want you to know. They wear those long black hats to appear taller and more intimidating. If they have to go to the bathroom, they have to do it while standing there because they're not allowed to leave their position. They're allowed to move while on duty, but they're only allowed to take 15 steps every 10 minutes. Because standing in one place for too long is bad for their health. If you see them marching towards you, you better get out of the way. Because they'll either carry you away or yell, "Make way for the Queen's guards." Their weapons are usually empty unless there's a threat or an emergency. They're trained to feint in the right way so they don't make a ruckus. Which is why if any of them feint, they'll feint forwards and onto their face. They're not allowed to smile or laugh, and if they do, they get $200 taken off their salary. That's why they always have a serious attitude even when tourists try to make them laugh. This 5-year-old girl disappeared every night until her father followed her to this house. It took 4 days for Tom, who's Annie's father, to realize that she wasn't in her room or in the backyard where she always played. When the girl finally showed up, he asked where she was, but she didn't say a word. On the 5th day, Tom decides to follow her without her noticing, but he loses sight of her. On the 6th day, he tries again and this time manages to follow her to her grandparents' abandoned house. He stayed hidden while he watched his daughter greet a female stranger. He then waits for his daughter to leave, then walks up to the stranger and questions her. She was an 80-year-old lady named Linda who ran away from her nursing home because she didn't want to live there. So she wandered the streets with dogs that she adopted until she met the girl who provided her with shelter and met her every day at the same time to give her food. Eventually, Annie's parents gave the house to Linda and later with the help of donations turned it into an animal shelter. He built a secret home in the corner of the mall and lived there for 4 years before being discovered. While Providence Place Mall was under construction, Michael Townsend, who's an American artist, was running around the site when he noticed a section that made no sense. It was an opening between 2 walls that led to a space too small to be a store and too angular to be part of the parking lot. But he continued on his run. 4 years later, him and his friends were forced to leave the place that they were living because it was going to be destroyed and replaced with a parking lot. Because of this, he got an idea and remembered the space that he had seen years ago. That's when him and his friends got to work and cleaned up the space. They decorated it and took electricity from the mall for a TV and video games. The only thing they didn't have is a bathroom, but they were caught 4 years later, and they all went to trial for trespassing and many other charges, but the judge made the decision to let them go on probation. Sneaky ways airports get you to spend more money. The first thing they do is put the parking ticket at a high price. It's cheaper if you park at a nearby hotel or get a ride by a bus or cab. They also ask you to arrive early to avoid missing your flight. So after checking in and going through security, you'll feel relieved and ready to wait for boarding. And you'll also have plenty of free time to shop. Airports take advantage of this by placing lots of stores in your way, like coffee shops, convenience stores, and restaurants. Most commonly, more stores will be on your right, because most people are right-handed and they tend to look that way more often. Finally, you'll find eye-catching and spacious stores to attract your attention, so you can walk right through with your luggage, while restaurants and cafes will have a quiet atmosphere to make you feel more comfortable and spend more money. This is a real scary McDonald's customer service story. A young girl who lived with her 3-year-old sister and her mother experienced a very frightening moment. One of her mother's cousins worked at a McDonald's near where they lived, so she often stays there after school while she waits for her mother to pick her up. One day while she was studying at McDonald's and taking care of her little sister who was playing in the playground, 2 strange-looking men walked in. One of them suddenly approached the girl and started asking her a bunch of questions, but she was really scared and didn't really answer them. A few minutes later, she looked out to see her sister, but she wasn't there. She quickly got up to look for her and realized that the other man was in the parking lot trying to get her sister into the car while she was kicking and screaming. The girl ran to her mom's cousin and told him to call 911, but the man who was taking her sister gave up when he saw several employees approaching him and left the girl on the ground. If she hadn't acted quickly, she may never have seen her sister again. 5 people who beat the system, part 5. At this resort, you're not allowed to have drinks by the pool, so they made a massive straw and left the drink on their balcony. This guy said his name was Mark, spelled with a C, so instead of changing the K to a C, they changed the M to a C. The teacher told them they could only have a one-sided cheat sheet, so this student taped the paper to make both sides one side. This guy's girlfriend told him to wear a plain tie, so he sent her this picture of a tie with planes. Now before I show you the smartest one, I found a really addicting app that lets you create games to play with your friends, and also play millions of other games created by other players. Just press a button on my profile to get it. Finally, this town wasn't allowed to have a statue so close to the road, so they put a flag in it to make it a flagpole. 7 random facts you'll hear for the first time. The bones of mice are extremely flexible, so much so that they can even fit into the hole of a pen. Stop signs were yellow until they were changed into red in 1954. The defense mechanism for the mimic octopus is insane. It can change color and take on the shape of another animal, like sea snakes, flounders, or lionfish. The hole in the middle of a spaghetti spoon isn't only to drain water, it's also used to measure a portion for one person. The hottest place inhabited by humans is Dalol, Ethiopia, where temperatures have reached 49 degrees Celsius. The only letter in the English alphabet that isn't in the periodic table is J. When tea was first marketed, the beverage was placed in hand-sewn cloth bags. The idea was that the consumers would pull the leaves out of the bag, but they didn't know that and used it that way. They were a success and are still used like that. These simple objects had a secret from you in plain sight. The marks on the side of coins haven't always been there. In the 18th century, people were saving coins to make new ones, which is clearly illegal. So to stop this, they began engraving the sides to prevent them from being manipulated, which worked. The ring on cans lets people put their cigarettes there, but also if you have a painting that's fallen, because one of the hooks detached, you can screw the ring into the painting and hang it again. Water bottles can be used to create a small greenhouse. Just cut the bottom and you can watch the seed grow. The Orbit chewing gum has a secret hidden in the logo. The round shape of the O has two colors. The light one represents day and the dark one represents night, just like our planet orbiting the sun. And finally, if you place garlic cloves in the microwave for 10 seconds, the husk will separate so you don't have to peel it with your hands. Gadgets that give you superpowers. MYO is a bracelet made by Telmic Labs. It allows you to control your electronics with simple gestures. The sensors detect the movements in your arm muscles, and some of its functions are you can control the volume of your music, you can control drones, and you could also play games without the joystick. If you've ever wanted to throw fire with your hands, you can with the Pyro Mini Flamethrower. You put it on your wrist and it lets you throw sparks, flames, and fireballs. It does this by quickly burning tissue. The exoskeleton is a full bodysuit. It has integrated weapons, it's bulletproof, it increases your mobility and strength by taking the stress off your joints and muscles, which even allows people in wheelchairs to stand up and walk. Here's what would happen if you fell off a cruise ship. In 2018, a British lady was on the Norwegian Star cruise ship when she suddenly fell off the back. As soon as the crew found out about this, they started a search and rescue for her. They also called the authorities, who sent water patrol, an aircraft, and 2 rescue boats to find her. After 10 hours, they managed to find her and quickly took her to the hospital. The chances of survival are slim, but she has several things in her favor. Because she worked as a flight attendant, so she probably knew what to do in this situation. Even though these accidents aren't very common, they have emergency protocols in place. If there's an eyewitness who can report what happened, the crew notifies the captain, who usually stops the ship and backs it up. The authorities and the Coast Guard are then notified, while the crew searches for the spot where the person fell off. If you ever fall overboard, it's important to stay calm, try to stay where you fell, don't drink seawater, and keep your clothes on. Secret places hidden in famous locations part 2. In the Statue of Liberty, there's a small room located inside the torch, but no one can enter it because that part was damaged by the Germans in 1916. And although it was prepared, they don't allow people in it